Greetings, everybody. Welcome to another AI War 2 patch update. Recently, there have been a couple of them, not of huge size, but the last one made a rather big splash in terms of the gameplay stuff it's going to affect. Titled High-AI Progress, Playstyle Viability. Previous to that, there was 1.012, which was just a hotfix. 1.013 added a few other things. You can now have your fleets named automatically by a list, just like a custom list, just like the planets are. I haven't messed around with that. I like to be more descriptive with mine. But you can do various, like Greek gods or whatever in a separate list of 50 or more of them if you want. There is also a feature to improve all of the AI taunts. They now have a box that appears up here when they taunt you. And it's going to go a different place eventually, but they have a spot where they show that in the summary here. If we go all the way down, we can see all of these. These are messages that they've sent me recently since they put that in place. You can see most of them are from the AI overlords when they announce raids and stuff, but you've got the warden having things to say to you if you attack one of their planets and they're upset about it. The hunter fleet is around, and you can see obviously the formatting's not great. It's running over itself. But again, this is temporary. And then more recently, in the most recent patch, they've added some other things. You can see the human resistance fighters have announced this, and there's new voice lines to go along with all of those things. So now we can actually know what wonderful things the AI is saying to us. And for example, we discovered where one of the AI overlords was, so it says your fate was sealed long ago, your discovery of our master control is irrelevant. Time for a little target practice. Then the intel got a little bit more love as well. So let's say, for example, we want to change the priority. The coprocessor here on Jared's mine. We right-click it and we get this H1. So that tells you how many high priority things are on that particular planet from the galaxy map. So if you had a bunch of those selected, then you can see, where the most important things are or are not when you're zoomed out. And it, uses the same scaling as all the other settings. And then if we do low, it'll do L1. Right-click again. That goes back to normal. And then, of course, 1013 also was the one that nuked the fusion fleet as being overpowered, so you can no longer use that when you start a new game. You can still get the fusion bombers in a couple of the other fleets, classic and consumer, but you can't have one that simply concentrates on fusion and then level up all your ships at the beginning. You get more of a variety of ships, not as much immediate synergy from the tech. And then the current one, 1014, they added more voice lines. And then they had the AI mark AI progress levels, and we can't really see it here because the lowest level one is still going to be 100, but they're spread out more. You would reach the top, like, Mark 7 level at between 5 and 600 AI progress, I think it was, before. Now that's much higher. It's like up over 1,000. And so they're just spread out more. For example, difficulty 7, Mark 3 was at, I think they moved it from 220 to 275, something like that. And that's the major change that goes along with the title, making high AI progress games more viable, so you don't actually hit the top levels of AI resistance until your empire grows larger. And they're aware that they believe this is actually going to make the game a fair amount easier in the short run, along with one of the other major changes that was made, and that was a buff to your defenses. We're going to go visit what we haven't seen in a while, the Holland Guard, and you can see it's got guns now. It's got ballistic double-shot cannon, 20 bullets, 2,000 damage, range of 10,100. The durability of the battle stations has also been doubled. Durability of some other things, gravity generators, tractor arrays, etc., which I'm going to enjoy because I love tractor arrays. The boost you get to energy when you upgrade your command stations is a little higher. Most of the defense-related techs are a little bit cheaper. You can see the command stations less than they were. and it's usually each mark gets about the same cost now. They got rid of the one of the defense techs and just put more stuff under the sentries. And so just in general, the feeling was that a lot of players were using their fleets to go around defend their planets, and they wanted more of a tower defense feel, wanted the stationary defenses to be a little bit more viable, and so that's why that change was made. Now, they do think that they're going to need to boost the AI down the road as well to compensate for some of these. They think that in general, and this is just based on what Chris Park said in the announcement for this patch, that the AI needs to have a much stronger economy, and it also needs a better way to deal with some of the super weapons, which, by the way, the Spire frigates did get their nerf. They have lowered range for some of them and definitely lowered damage on all of their main cannons. So that's going to change those a bit. They were a bit overpowered, but one of the issues with them is simply that it's really easy to avoid counterattacks because counterattacks are based on how much you lose in a system. And if you take the Spire frigate in, let it take a bunch of pounding, and then leave, they never generate anything for a counterattack. And so one of the ideas that's being floated is having the AI have more super weapon type stuff of their own to sort of combat those in some sort of epic struggle. So we'll see how much that comes to fruition in the future, but that's what they're looking at right now. The idea is they're laying the foundation for having a better balance of things, and they'll scale up the AI resistance as needed to match that. One of the other things I neglected to mention is minefields have now been improved. When you place the regular minefields, they'll fire 5 times instead of once. And so they just felt that they weren't strong enough. So each time it fires, it'll do 20% damage to itself. And the goal of that is, of course, again, making that a more viable defensive option. And then looking forward, it looks like the next patch is going to focus quite a bit on the outguard. They want to make them a little bit more interesting to use and also just a more useful option. Right now, they're just generally considered not to be strong enough. There's going to be more outguard types that are added. So that should be interesting. But the long and the short of it here is, for now, the game is going to be a fair amount easier, and stationary / turret defenses are more worth investing in at the moment. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll have more patch news as it develops. See you soon.